Guest is a longtime acquaintance of the missing journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Judith Miller, former New York Times reporter and Pulitzer Prize winner, and now Fox News contributor. Judith, you wrote about this story over the weekend, and you were convinced then that he had been murdered and that it had been done by Saudis.
Right. I think it was obvious to those of us who've been in the Middle East, who've watched the Middle East for a long time and who've been watching Saudi Arabia, that when a man says to his fiancée, here's my cell phone, I'm going into an embassy, a consulate that may be problematic for me. If I don't come out, call the president of Turkey's office because something bad has happened. At that point, when he didn't emerge, I just had a very bad feeling, and I figured that's what had happened.
So Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, has been bridging these relationships and saying that he is a reformist in Saudi Arabia. He's allowed women to drive. Jared Kushner has worked closely with him on opening up that relationship. President Trump has been heralding how wonderful it is that we're selling all of these weapon systems to Saudi Arabia now. We've built a nice relationship between the United States and Israel and Saudi Arabia. He puts all this at risk for this journalist?
Well, I don't think he would have done this unless he had reason to believe that nothing terrible was going to happen to him. And there are a lot of indications that that's true, Martha, because, in fact, President Trump today called U.S.-Saudi relations excellent, despite this little hiccup. And it's clear that President Trump also said that he wanted to continue selling weapons to Saudi Arabia. By the way, the president said, and Saudi Arabia was his first foreign trip, that's where he went for the first time, he said that there were deals to buy $110 billion worth of weapons, but the Brookings Institution points out that there have been zero big purchases, Saudi purchases so far of weapons. So this is really an excuse. I think what President Trump and Mohammed bin Salman, the Crown Prince, have in common is a hatred of Iran and a desire to keep oil prices very low. And good Saudi-U.S. relations, this is long-standing. Every American president wants good relations, but this time, this brash young leader who has made many mistakes in foreign policy has just gone too far.
And, you know, we remember when he locked up a lot of the top family members, officials at the Ritz-Carlton, I believe it was, and held them and then exhorted them essentially to basically pay their way out of there. But he said he was cleaning up the government, that he was getting rid of people who were corrupt within that leadership.
Well, people always say that when they act in such a manner. You know, a lot of my colleagues in the press were saying, oh, isn't this wonderful? He's taking down the elite. He's taking ill-gotten gains from wealthy Saudis. But he locked these people up in a five-star prison without formal charges, without any judge looking at anything. This was not the sign of an Islamic reformer. This was not the work of a man who believes that Saudi Arabia desperately needs secularization and rule of law.
Well, you have senators like Bob Corker and Senator Lindsey Graham, who was on the show last night, saying that they mean business, that there has to be an investigation here, it has to be taken seriously. Do you think, given everything that you're saying, that the president will do that?
I really think that there was an announcement today that Saudi Arabia and Turkey were going to work together on a joint investigation. That's like having foxes guard the henhouse. If the United States joins such an investigation, it's likely to be a whitewash. I think we pretty much know what happened. People may not have proof, but I think we know. I don't think that Saudi Arabia, in the end, will pay much of a price for this. The caravan will move on, as we say in the Middle East. Attention will be distracted by Kanye, by hurricanes, by whatever. The United States, Donald Trump thinks that we need Saudi Arabia. And alas, I'm not sure that there will ever be justice for Jamal.
Well, he says he would like his fiancée to come to the White House fairly quickly. So we'll see if that happens. Judith, thank you. Always good to see you. Thanks for being here tonight.